I didn't expect to upload this much this week, but I forgot to do a video that I was meant to do probably Monday. I probably should have done this video Monday or Tuesday. But we are reacting to my Premier League predictions. I will not put the clip in like last year. I've got my predictions from the notes that I made. And oh my god, they are awful. But yeah, I don't think there'll be a video tomorrow, but let's get into it now. 20th, I had Bournemouth. And the Bournemouth admin put that video out of everyone predicted them to go down when it was 20th in the relegation zone. And it was when they survived. And fair play. It was a very good idea to put that kind of video out. And also, I didn't expect Scott Parker to get sacked so quick. I didn't know they were going to get taken over. But I do all these predictions. Every time I do a predictions video, it has to be before game week 1. Because you can easily get more right by looking at this, doing it after the summer transfer window. But I'm not going to do that. But yeah, Bournemouth, well done to Bournemouth for surviving. Well done to Gary O'Neill. Gary O'Neill, when he took over, was after the 9-0 battering by Liverpool, I'm pretty sure. And then he was caretaker up until the World Cup. He won in a few good games, battered Everton twice in a row. Fucking hell, screaming. And I don't get why people scream in gardens. Yes, up to the World Cup, he was caretaker. And then it was like they were linked to Sean Dyche, Marcelo Bielsa, and a couple other managers that I can't remember. But Gary O'Neill got the full job, and then he went on like an 8-game losing streak. Something like that. And then he managed to steer the ship, be versatile in his tactics, and he's never managed a club before, I don't think. He's only done youth coaching, I think, and obviously I think he was the assistant manager to Scott Parker, or he was just in the coaching staff. But yeah, Gary O'Neill, done well, and yeah, well done. I've actually not got the Premier League table up, so let me get that up. But 19th, by the way, 19th. We're going to move on to 19th. 19th, do you want to know who I put at 19th? Fulham. Now, if you go back, I did this video with my friend Jay. He was praising Marco Silva, rightly so. And Marco Silva's done a great job, because getting Fulham 10th was out of my estimation, was out of anyone's estimation. I thought they'd go back down. They're just another Norwich where they come back up and go straight back down. But I knew I fucked up straight away on the first game week where they drew 2-2 to Liverpool. And they did so well throughout the season. I know it dipped off and they could have got Europe. And they probably should have got Europe. Maybe if they got a decent enough backup striker. I know Carlos Vinicius has chipped in now and then, but he hasn't done enough as a backup striker for when Mitrovic has been banned or injured. They made some decent signings. I don't think they're going to sign the Solomon guy permanently, but he had a small purple patch. I don't really think Dan James did much. Willian, no, credit to Willian, did really well. Well done to Willian. I was not expecting that. Thought he was finished, but well done. Issa Diop from West Ham. He's an okay defender. He's a good defender when you can get the right centre-back partner. Sometimes loses concentration. Didn't start off well in a cup game when they went out the cup, but it's been him or Tosin Adebayo that's had to play alongside Tim Ream. Tim Ream is another player that's played good. Anthony Robinson. João Paulinho has been a great signing. But it's still first season. We'll see how that goes in his next season with Fulham. But someone I've always rated, genuinely always rated, even when Fulham were in the Premier League and previously, Harrison Reed and Bobby De Cordova-Reid, the two Reeds. I really like Harrison Reed. I don't know why we haven't got someone like him as a West Ham fan. But yeah, that's the Fulham midfielder I want. But I don't think we're not going to get someone like that. I think Harrison Reed has played so well for Fulham this season, and well done to him. Let me go. Who did I put 18th? Everton. I put Everton 18th, and Everton always seem to get out of it. They finished 17th. So I was one place off, and that seems to be a trend. But yeah, Everton always get out of it. This was me predicting them under Frank Lampard. Didn't think they were going to get Sean Dyche. Dyche steered the ship. He's not a miracle worker. The squad that Everton have is shocking. And genuinely, they have some good players. They have some good midfielders. But they don't have any creativity necessarily. They don't have any fast wingers apart from Damari Gray. But Sean Dyche has done a great job in terms of getting them up. But Everton, you're too big of a club to even be in a relegation zone. So if you don't invest properly, if their board don't invest properly, I think they might be getting taken over. I'm not too sure. Then they'll be back here again, but they'll get out of it somehow. And I wanted them to go down because they've never suffered relegation, but they did enough to stay up, and that's the point at the end of the day. And they are not making the Connor Cody signing permanent. A lot of people are hyping up the Tarkowski-Cody partnership with Patterson Mikalenko. Then it was Anana, Iwobi, and Ghana Gay in midfield. Now, Iwobi's played well throughout the season. Anana here and there. Ghana Gay's been good experience. But there was too much hype around that in the first place. The all English midfield and the all English defence and the physical midfield. Like, nah, let's not do that. But yeah, the all English centre back pairing, I should say. But yeah, Everton stayed up. They won 8 games all season, which is bad for an Everton team. Their last season at Goodison Park will be in the Premier League, and it will be sad to see Goodison Park go as a neutral. But listen, well done to Everton for staying up. Now, who did I have at 17th? I had Nottingham Forest, and they came 16th, so I wasn't far off. I thought they'd be in a relegation battle, but I thought they'd survive. It was mainly because of their manager, Steve Cooper. I watched the back end of the championship season when they got promoted, the playoffs, a few games before the playoffs. They could have got automatic promotion, but got beat by Bournemouth. And listen, if you have to manage like 30 or 40 signings or whatever it was over the course of the summer transfer window and the January transfer window, and you can't even play the way you want to, you keep changing formation, whether it's the diamond formation or it's the back three or the back five, it's hard to handle as a manager. And he was under pressure, and credit to the owner for sticking with his manager. I think he gave himself too much credit for doing that, because it is simple just to stick with your manager. But Brennan Johnson, Morgan Gibbs-White, Taiwo Awoniyi, Niakate when he's come in, Ryan Yates as the guy who got promoted with them. There's been a few, like even Renan Lodi when he's played at wing back, and Aurier when he stepped in. They played really well. These players have played really well. Dean Henderson was playing well before his injury, then Keylor Navas had to come in, and then he played well. I know he fucked up against Brentford, but whatever, innit? And they made a lot of signings, and we'll see how they do their transfer business, because I don't know. Making a lot of signings it can fuck you up, but then knowing what to do afterwards, I don't know. But yeah, credit to Nottingham Forest. I'm glad they're staying up. I like their stadium. I like the atmosphere that they have. I like their kit. I like their manager. So well done. So I didn't get any one of the relegated teams right, and the team that finished above the relegation zone. I don't know why I predicted this to happen, because I should have seen this coming. But 16th I put Leeds, and Leeds finished 19th. I should have seen it coming. I think that's one of the worst predictions on the thing, and you're gonna see there's a lot of bad ones on here, but Leeds, man, you're a fucking mess. They're not their manager, their owner is using Ellen Road in negotiations with trying to buy Sampdoria. I don't know how he's doing that, but oh fam, I watched their Leeds Take Me Home documentary, and Red Rosani, the owner, and Victor Orta, they come off well in the documentary, but who doesn't come off well in their own documentary? But a lot of the old crop that got them promoted are still there. Stuart Dallas has been injured for a while. I can't remember the last time he played. Jack Harrison's still there. Luke Ayling is still there. Liam Cooper is still there. Patrick Bamford, oh my god, he's been fucking shit. He's been shit all season, and he's partly the reason why they're gone, in my opinion. They are all still there. They haven't. I think Adam Forshaw is still there. Adam Forshaw hasn't been that bad compared to the other lot. But Jack Harris has been disappointing. Luke Ayling has been poor. Liam Cooper, no. Like, none of their centre-backs have been good. And they tried to go for the Red Bull model. And along with another club that's been relegated that we'll get onto in a minute, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. It really doesn't make sense to me. What they're trying to do, what style of play they were trying to go for, because you went from Bielsa to Jesse Marsh, who played very narrow football. Then you went to Javi Gracia, very defensive football, pragmatic, whatever. And then you went to Sam Allardyce, who's big long ball football, but you only gave him 4 games anyway. You didn't even give him enough games for him to stay up. So yeah, Leeds, you're a mess, man. You're a mess. I genuinely don't understand how you could fuck up this bad again. And they need new owners. I don't know whether they're going to get promoted straight back. I don't think they will. A lot of clubs should be looking at players like Tyler Adams, Wilfred Gnonto, Sinistera if you want to take risk with his injury record. Who else? Yeah, that's it. That's probably it. But maybe Somerville as well. I'm just looking at their wingers because no one wants their defenders, put it that way. But yeah, who did I predict above Leeds? I predicted Brentford 15th. I thought Brentford wouldn't be in a relegation battle. I just thought they'd be, like, fine. From what I remember saying, I don't remember what I said about Brentford in my predictions video. So if I did say they were going to be in a relegation battle, then I was way off. Because they finished 9th. Brentford finished 9th. They were close to Conference League and Europa League football. They were 3 points off Brighton, 2 points off Aston Villa, and a point off Tottenham. And Brentford, well done. Even with the whole Ivan Toney situation, we'll see how they deal with that in a full season. But Ivan Toney got 20 goals. Ivan Toney's a complete striker. He'll be back. Whenever he's allowed to play again, he has an extra sense of motivation to do well. So when he comes back, he will do very well. A really good underrated signing was Ben Mee. I think that really shored up their defence. The blocks that I saw against Tottenham when they faced them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they beat them 3-1? I don't know, it was 3 or 2. 3 or 2-1, I don't remember. But Ben Mee was like man of the match. Him and David Raya is leaving. They've got this Flecken guy from Freiburg who's good with his feet. But David Raya will be leaving. Don't know for who exactly, but listen, Brentford could be going for European football next year, and I think it's a really positive thing that they're doing. I think their manager's like a born winner at Brentford, and it's almost like I think his mentality is driven on to all of these players, and fair play to them because it's almost like they were the underdogs this whole time. And they didn't suffer from second season syndrome. They only lost 9 games. They just drew so many. And at home, they've kind of made it a fortress. I can only think of Arsenal and Newcastle that beat them at their stadium. Let me know if I got that wrong. But I think it's only Arsenal and Newcastle that beat them at their stadium. And that's it. And they're a problem. They can mix it up. Sometimes they play football. Sometimes they just go long ball. They can mix it up. So fair play to Brentford for finishing 9th. Let's see if they go for Europe next season. Okay, 14th. This is one of the worst predictions of the video. Southampton. I was 6 places off. Oh my god. Like, oh, what the fuck has happened to Southampton? They had Hasenhüttl, yeah? And I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Hasenhüttl. But if you're going to replace Hasenhüttl, it has to be with a manager that can work with a squad. And think about it. If your strikers are Shea Adams and Adam Armstrong, and they don't do well, necessarily, why would you bring in Onuachu, never played in the Premier League, Sekou Mara, never played in the Premier League, I don't remember who else they have. This Sulemana guy looks good, but he didn't play enough. Lavia, Ward-Prowse, that midfield should be doing better, so the managers are not getting that correct. Especially Nathan Jones. Nathan Jones is probably the worst Premier League manager we've ever seen, maybe apart from like Lampard and De Boer. But even then, I would still say Nathan Jones' only win was against Lampard, so whatever. Those 2 managers have to be up there with some of the worst the Premier League has ever seen. And there's a few contenders for that. Nathan Jones doesn't even like using youngsters, and they gave him a young squad. Like, they gave him like the opportunity to manage a young squad, With players like Perot, Salisu, Bella Kotchap, Walker Peters, that as a back four in its own should be doing better, although they have their depth. There's Lianco and Bednarek. And even but Saleta Sar's an experience in Europe. I'm not going to put too much on Bazunu because he's a young goalkeeper that will have a great future. But Southampton, out of the 3 relegated teams, probably have the best foundations to come back up. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of their players probably won't leave because they're young. Probably Lavia might leave, but it depends who comes in for him. If no one comes in for him, I'd like West Ham to go in for him. Someone who West Ham have been linked with is James Ward-Prowse, who I would take. Set pieces alone are worth it, in my opinion. It wouldn't be a Rice replacement though, but that's for another video. But yeah, Southampton, calamity, but you probably have the best foundation to come back up. They've hired Russell Martin though, who, for the Championship, he finished mid-table with Swansea. And I don't understand what Southampton's board are doing. Because they're really fucking up their club so far. And I don't know how long they've been there for. But so far, not so good. We'll move on. And coming above that, I've finally got a prediction right, guys. Wolves, 13th. I finally predicted or something right. I've got 13th. I've got Wolves. It's a very Wolves position nowadays because since Nuno Espirito Santo was gone, the club's a bit lost because we knew them for the Portuguese team. I don't really know what they are now. They signed what. Wolves got really unlucky with the striker situation because Jimenez wasn't up to it. I think he was injured for a bit. Then they got their Saza Kalasic guy, who was ruled out for the rest of the season. So then they got Diego Costa, and he only scored like 1 or 2 goals. And he's not going to play for them anymore. João Moutinho has also been released. A great servant to Wolves and probably didn't have a great season recently, but he's been great for them in general. Ruben Neves said his yearly goodbye. We'll see if anyone comes in for him. I heard Barcelona were interested, but FFP, I'm sure Barcelona will find a way to finesse all their way through transfers. But I don't know. What do I know? Wolves is 41 points. Like, they were 20th by Christmas or by the World Cup. So, Lopetegui's done well. He's got their home form spot on, pretty much. They haven't lost a home game in a while. And credit to Lopetegui. But there's been doubts over his future for some reason. And if there's any Wolves fans watching this, why is there doubts over his future? Like, why would he walk? Is it because of the board? Is it the transfer policy? Is it has he been promised something? Has he fallen out with the board? I want to know. I want to know why Lopetegui would leave. But I could see them going down next season as a wild card for good. But I think a lot of people have actually said that themselves. So let's hope they improve. Obviously, Bruno Lage got sacked as well. That was probably deserved, but at the same time, I don't know. It was just a weird appointment in general. 12th, I predicted Aston Villa. I remember debating with my friend Jay, who I did the predictions video with, about. He said Aston Villa would do really well. I said Aston Villa always get predicted to do well, but never do anything. But I was on to Gerrard. I didn't expect Gerrard to get sacked. But Unai Emery, what an appointment. But let's go on Gerrard first. I think he lost his first 3 games. I think he lost to Bournemouth, Palace and West Ham. I could be wrong. But that Fulham game, I remember that Fulham game where he got sacked. That was a horrible watch. There was a game where they beat Southampton at Villa Park. It was the worst Premier League game I've ever watched. Like, I'm not even taking a piss. Hassan Huitwood versus Gerrard. It was the worst game I've ever watched in my life. The quality was so low. Like, it was so bad. It was a Friday night football game. And Forest Fulham was also on. And that game was 3-2. And I didn't switch. I should have switched over. But Villa, Southampton, that was so bad. Like, that game was like mind-numbing to watch. But yeah, then they got Unai Emery. And Unai Emery he plays high-line terrorism, which is what I like to call it. But gets you organised, He knows how to organise an attack. He knows how to organise a defence. And seeing Ashley Young get released is surprising because I thought he actually played really well. And because they've got Europe now, they finished 7th and they've got Conference League. Unai Emery will try and win that, and as he should. And I think he will. I think Aston Villa will win the Conference League next season because of who Unai Emery is and how he sets up his teams and his experience in European competitions. I was surprised that Ashley Young would get released because he has experience in Europe. Credit to players like Douglas Luiz, who isn't a 6 and is a good player. He's not a 6. Kamara has been good alongside him. John McGinn's game has been rejuvenated. Ollie Watkins had a purple patch. Still don't rate him. I'll be honest, I still don't rate him, but he does the job. I would suggest Villa get a striker that can compete with him. So they have a plan B. And so because they're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday. If they don't get a backup, like a proper backup striker, they might struggle with goals. And you might get injured. Credit to people like Luca Dean, Tyrone Mings, and Ezri Konsa. Credit to Jacob Ramsey, he's been outstanding. Leon Bailey has been good when he's fit. Even Bertrand Traore came in for a couple of games and did well. But they could definitely improve their squad. And I think they will. They usually spend. They don't fuck about. They're bored. Good, well-run club as well. So credit to Aston Villa. Congratulations on finishing 7th in the Europa Conference League. And European nights at Villa Park. I'm sure Villa will win the whole thing. I don't know who else is in the Conference League next season, but credit to them. Who else did it? Okay, 11th. Oh, did I get this one right? Oh my god, I did. I got it right. I got Crystal Palace 11th correct. They finished like 12th or 13th. They were 12th or 13th for pretty much the whole season, and they finished 11th. 45 points. Finished above Chelsea. Finished above Wolves. Finished above West Ham, Bournemouth, Forest, Everton, etc. I know a lot of people debate whether Patrick Vieira deserved to be sacked. I was talking about Patrick Vieira a lot. I have gripes with Vieira, but if you look at the games they played, now fair enough, they should have turned up more against Brighton, which is their big rivalry game where Vieira got sacked. But they also had Arsenal after that. They had Brentford. I'm pretty sure they had Man City at Selhurst Park. They had Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Maybe, yeah, they should be doing better against Chelsea. Fair enough. Who else did they have? They had Brentford away. They had Brentford away as well. They had Brighton away. Did they have Man United? They had Man United away. They had Man United at home. They drew Man United at home. They lost to Man United away. All these games in a row. Did they not have Newcastle? I could be wrong. I'm sure they had Newcastle with that. They didn't have Tottenham. No, they didn't have Tottenham. That was before. But that is a hard game run to sack someone. And I do think Vieira would have got them out of that. But when I look at Roy Hodgson when he came in, I thought he was going to play a 4-4-2 as he did the previous time. What he did straight away, which I liked, is put Ebere Eze in. And Eze didn't play much under Vieira. My main gripe with Vieira is that he didn't let go of the handbrake. And you would think that Roy Hodgson would be more on a handbrake than Vieira. It was actually the opposite. And Eze was just having fun playing football. But Vieira should have played Eze more. And the persistence to play Jordan Ayew the way he was using him stinks. And maybe he deserved to be sacked. I don't know. But I do think there's a manager in there. And whether he comes to West Ham, I don't know. But I think Vieira should have just let go of the handbrake, and I think Vieira would have done a good job getting them out of the relegation. I don't think they were ever really in the relegation battle for me. I know they were only 9 points off the drop, or well, actually 11 points off the drop. But they were never in it for me. They were in it for like 2 weeks, and that was it. And Roy Hodgson did a good job coming in. So well done to Palace. Mid-table again. They usually finish mid-table. There's not really been much of a difference since Vieira, Hodgson, whatever. But I don't know where Palace go next. After Palace, I predicted Brighton to finish 10th. I thought Brighton would do well. I didn't think they'd do this well. They finished 6th. They're in Europe, and they're another team that should be going for a European trophy next season. I have more doubts about whether they win the Europa League. Liverpool are in it as well, and other teams are probably in it, and the Europa League becomes more competitive each year. They had Graham Potter at the start of the season. I thought they'd just finish 10th. They'd play nice football, do well. Potter battered Leicester and then got. He didn't get sacked. He went to Chelsea, which was dreadful, but we'll come to that later. And then they got De Zerbi. I had a feeling the way they run, they just get a possession manager. I did not know who De Zerbi was before he came to Brighton. His first game, he drew 3-3 at Anfield, I'm pretty sure. He got the international break to sort out his team. He ended up using Matoma and Evan Ferguson more than Potter did. Evan Ferguson was still coming through when Potter was there. And Matoma was still being eased in when Potter was there. And it wasn't a three at the back all the time under De Zerbi. When he got settled in, he went to a more 4-2-3-1, but the way he plays it is a bit different. Potter was more of a three at the back kind of guy at times. So although the formation was debatable, what they played every game, but I think De Zerbi deserves a lot of credit for coming into an already good team and then making them continue to be like even better. And I did not expect Brighton to get Europe. They haven't won a trophy in like 100 years or some shit, so they should try and go for the Europa League. I know they're going to be losing McAllister. They might be losing Caicedo to either Chelsea or Arsenal, it looks like, in the race. It doesn't look like anyone else is interested. And they've got James Milner, a European experience. Dahoud from Dortmund. Haven't watched him when I've watched Dortmund. And who else did they get? They got João Pedro from Watford. So maybe that'll be Dennis Undav and Welbeck. Less games for them. They've got 4 strikers now. Or maybe De Zerbi's going 2 up front next season. I don't know. But players like Matoma, players like McAllister, Caicedo, Pascal Gross again. Another good season for Pascal Gross. A great signing in Estupinian. Probably deserves team of the season. He's been sensational. Especially losing Kukurea, Bissouma, Ben White, Trossard over the past couple of years. Like, there's been more, but we could be here all day if we talk about who they've lost. Solly March, before his injury, played really, really well, especially from like December up until like the rest of the season, and a lot of players have stepped up to the game with Brighton. They played lovely football. I've loved watching Brighton ever since the lockdown season, and hopefully they continue to do that. They can. It's a risky way of selling your players and replacing them, but let's hope they're not another Southampton. And yeah, hopefully they go. Yeah, listen. Same with Villa. Like, hopefully they go win their European Cup as well. If we're not in it, if we don't win the Conference League and all of that. But yeah, well done to Brighton for finishing 6th. I didn't expect that, and they could have finished in the Champions League. You never know, but they were 9 points off. My only concern is that if they come up against a defensively solid side, can they defend counter-attacks better? And you saw that with the Everton game, the way they got battered. And do they have a plan B, or will De Zerbi be stubborn and just stick to his plan A? Because they're going to come up against a lot of low blocks next season, let's be honest. But yeah, next, 9th, one of the worst predictions on the list, Leicester City. I thought Leicester would invest more, but as it got closer, obviously they sold Kasper Schmeichel. I thought he would have been replaced. They were linked with Dubravka. They were linked with, I can't remember. I just remember Dubravka being linked, and that would have been better than Ward and Iverson. And Leicester City came 18th, relegated, with Maddison, Tielemans, Dewsbury Hall, Barnes, Vardy. I know he's old. Iheanacho, Daka, Luke Thomas, Castagna. Their centre-backs, Evans is the only good one. Souttar's up and coming. I've already talked about how bad Daniel Lamati is. Wout Faes has been good here and there. Vestergaard has been nowhere to be seen. He's not played. Some of the recruitment over the past couple of years have been shocking from Leicester, and a lot of ways to like fuck up your club by not dealing with the contracts with a lot of players running out of contract, not investing properly because you put more money into the training ground than you did in your transfer budget. Not letting go of Rodgers sooner. As much as I don't mind Rodgers, had to go. Hiring Dean Smith, who came mid-table with Norwich, or who was mid-table with Norwich when sacked from Norwich, and that was such a clueless appointment. When they hired Dean Smith, I had a feeling they would go down, but just a little bit of hope that they would stay up. I don't know whether they'll come back. They have to invest. Like, the January transfer window looked like they were going to rejuvenate the squad a bit with Tete coming in, with Suter coming in, with players like that. But it didn't work. Christensen at left back, but a lot of Leicester fans say he's shit. So we'll see in it. But Leicester, you've royally fucked it. But good luck in the Championship. Hope you come back. 8th, I said Newcastle. Now, another debate with Jay I had on my predictions videos that he said that Newcastle wouldn't do well. I had a lot of hope in Eddie Howe squeezing out the juice of footballers that, as he usually does. They only lost 5 games. They came 4th for the Champions League, and he even said himself, it feels weird because we haven't won a trophy, but we're celebrating. And that's a good mentality, like, because it's not really open top bus parade, celebration, top 4. But Newcastle haven't finished in the Champions League for so long, so they're not here to take part. Some of the players have said they've got good players already. Newcastle, and Eddie Howe made a League One side against the Premier League in Bournemouth. What he could do with already great players remains to be seen, but it's more to do with how can he handle egos rather than how can he handle quality. The Anthony Gordon signing, I don't know whether that will work, but because it's Eddie Howe, you'd have hope in that he knows how to deal with any signing that comes through the door. And you'd expect them to go for someone like Tierney, someone like Maddison, that left back. Credit to Dan Burn, he's done well. But he will get spun, he will get ripped. In the Champions League, if he plays left back, he has to be upgraded. And you have to get centre-backs to compete with Botman and Shaw, because you can't line up with them two every week. Same with right back with Trippier, although if they're going to use Harrison Ashby as a backup, maybe he can be good enough. Maybe a couple more midfielders to compete. I know they've got quite a few midfielders, but maybe a couple wingers. That they could do anything. Like, I don't know who they're going to let go, but I'm excited to see what Newcastle do. I don't want to be let down in this transfer window in terms of big signings. I want them to do well. Enough of this fake links with Ronaldo and all this. No, none of that. But well done to players like Gimaresh, especially Joe Willock. Joe Willock has been amazing. Some of the assists, some of the performances, the energy, they're going up and down. Sometimes on the left, sometimes in midfield, sometimes as an 8. Like, he's done really well, man. Like, him and Joe Linton linked up well. Joe Willock this season has been really good. Like, really, really good. In big games, small games, hard working, like, technical on the ball. That assist, was it for Isak against Tottenham? The outside of the foot. Amazing assist. That was probably the best assist of the season from off the top of my head. But yeah, some players will have purple patches for Newcastle. They had to defend deep a lot in the first half of the season because they weren't scoring enough. So they were like, we have to see this game out with a draw. Let's defend. And they're not a defensive side, but Eddie Howe's learned not to just be all-out attack and be naive in defence, because that's what he kind of was at Bournemouth. He's learned to have a good defensive structure and still have his attacking principle. So well done to Eddie Howe. Well done to Newcastle. I like Newcastle. Good club, good stadium, nice atmosphere. And they're in the Champions League. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing them in the Champions League next season. So, again, congratulations to Newcastle. Again, another worst. My next 2 predictions, some of the worst. 7th, I said my club, West Ham. Now, here's the problem with me. Off camera or on camera when I do predictions. If I predict West Ham to finish high, They finish low. If I predict West Ham to finish low, they finish high. And yeah, this season's been a mess. I was enjoying the transfer window. Great moment against Skamaka, Paqueta, again, Kera, Downs, Ariola, Emerson, Ings, Cornet. I think that's it. I could be wrong. I don't care. But we've been unlucky with certain things. But there's no excuses for this season now. We can top it off with the Conference League, and that's all I'm looking forward to right now. And that's all I can think about, to be completely honest. And I can't believe we're in a final. It's the first time in my lifetime that we're in a final that isn't the playoff final. In a competitive final. So I'll be so upset if we lose. And listen, there's bigger conversations to be had after the final about my club, but we'll leave it there for now because this is a West Ham channel and I'm doing a Premier League predictions video, so I'm going to talk about other clubs in this video. But we will have bigger conversations after the final because our season is not finished. 6th, Arsenal. I predicted Arsenal to finish 6th. Now, in my defence, here was my logic. I thought they could have done more in the transfer window. I thought I said in that video, Jesus was signing of the season. I was wrong. But I thought Jesus has played well this season. Zinchenko started really well, apart from the past 10 games, or however he played. The past 10 games that he played, he wasn't that great. And I think what Arsenal have done really well is they've taken teams by surprise with the way how efficiently they play, so that teams that play against them don't have a game plan. They don't know whether to sit off. They don't know whether to press. They don't know what to do against Arsenal, and that's what was really good against Arsenal at the start. But as the season went on, teams started studying Arsenal, and Newcastle set the precedent on how to defend against Arsenal. And then they started losing points and capitulating for the league. And here's my thing, yeah? Arsenal fans that I knew used to complain when Wenger was there. And they would always finish 4th or in the Champions League spots, and we haven't gone for a league title. Now, they're like, well, top 4 was the goal anyway. So I don't get the sense of that. Now, fair enough, I can't say that Arsenal have overachieved, but I can say Arteta as a manager has overachieved because he's overachieved my expectations. When I grew up knowing Arsenal, though, Arsenal always finish in high positions, and Arsenal have always been 2 signings off and we're going to go for the league. But now you're back to league title battles. So now you need to go for the league again. You need to try and fill the gap in. And I'll praise them first. Arteta has proved me wrong in a sense of I didn't think he would even get top 4 because they finished 5th with 1 game a week. And the reason why I predicted them to finish 6th was because they had Thursday, Sunday football. Now, what Arteta has a habit of doing is throwing away competitions. And to be honest, he shouldn't be doing that. Because, you're going for trophies here. Let's say you're going for 4 trophies, but you end up with none because you threw away 3 competitions for 1. You've taken an L here because for all this good season, you're not going to remember it. And yeah, that's what it is. When Arsenal fans look at this season, they've seen their team win the double. They've seen their team win an Invincibles. It's the older fans. They've seen the teams win FA Cups. They can say, we won a trophy that season. You can't just say we finished 2nd that season because you finished 2nd in the 15-16 season as well. And you didn't win the league then. But you won. I think they won the FA Cup that season. I could be. No, they didn't. No, Man United won the FA Cup that season. But yeah, it's a trophyless season for Arteta again, and they would need to win a cup next year. I would say Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard played sensational, and Saka dipped off to the end, but he's been the best right winger this season. Ben White was probably the best right back up until last couple of games when Trippier took over, because Trippier's been very consistent. It was very hard to separate them two. Zinchenko started off really well in midfield. So did going from left back into midfield. So did Thomas Partey. Yes, losing Saliba was shit, but you needed backup. But you knew you needed good enough backups anyway in other transfer windows. This is why I said you could have done more. Gabriel, well done to him. He's played well. So has Ramsdale. Listen, Jorginho is a good experience signing, but you need more midfielders. You probably need another winger maybe to back up. But actually, no, you're giving a new contract to Reece Nelson, so you have Trossard, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Saka, and Nelson as your midfield as your winger options. So I guess you're probably not going to sign another winger. Maybe you need another striker because Enquiries you gave a new contract for nothing. And I know he came in and did well like 3 games, but where is he? Like, what does he really do? Like, come on. I think people overrate Enquiries for no reason. But Arsenal, you finished second. You finished above my expectations, but you're probably not going to remember this season in a couple of years. So good luck. I hope you don't win anything, and I hope you fail in every competition. But you were a good team to watch this season, so well done. At 5th, I predicted Manchester United. They finished 3rd. I was about to say 4th. They finished 3rd. I thought Ten Hag would just, I don't know, have just the first season really. I just thought he's a good manager. Probably not going to play the football he wants straight away. Although I don't think Mason Mount's going to solve those problems either. Man United still have problems. I've just watched this video is recorded after watching the FA Cup. They have problems. They have players that have played in too many sides where they've got battered by each manager, like the Shaws of this world, the De Gea's of this world. Even the Bruno Fernandes is like, I do not rate Bruno Fernandes as much as people think. I think he's a great final ball player, a great striker of the ball. He can score goals, he can get assists. But you know when you're a midfielder, you've got to dictate the whole of the game. He doesn't do that. He was losing the ball a lot today, by the way, when I was watching the final. So whatever, but I don't rate people like Bruno Fernandes. The Casemiro is a fantastic signing. Apart from the red cards, he's done really well, and he's experienced. And in the Champions League, people like Casemiro and Varane will not just want to settle in and just be there to take part in the Champions League. You got to go through. You got to actually have a great window. You got to sort out your midfield still. Like Casemiro's just one man. Eriksen's too old. Fernandes isn't really a guy who dictates play. Ten Hag has to be ruthless. De Gea has to be the number 2 if he's going to stay. Get David Raya in. David Raya, yeah, fair enough, cross-collecting. That's his weakness. I get it. But he's actually just a decent keeper, and he's decent with his feet. So that's what Ten Hag needs. And if you dictate games more, he wouldn't have to come under so much pressure as a goalkeeper. That's what Man City do with Ederson. You need to, as a big club like with Arsenal, you need to be up there challenging for leagues. You're Man United. I've seen Man United win. Like, I have a memory of remembering when they won the league in 2011 and 2013, and they haven't been the same since. But you need to be back up there. That's how I always knew Man United as winning trophies. And fair enough, you won the Carabao Cup, and you didn't bottle the FA Cup, but you fucked up badly in the FA Cup. And a trophy and 3rd is good, but you're Man United. You could do better than that. Well done to Ten Hag. Need to be ruthless. And Rashford has carried Man United in terms of goals, in terms of performances. Whatever. People like Sancho I like Sancho, but he needs to step up to the plate. And he's a combination player. He's got no one to combine with, so maybe they'll sign someone to combine with Sancho, maybe sign an actual technical midfielder. Not sure what they're going to do. There's so many things to talk about Man United. I think Lisandro Martinez has done well to prove doubters wrong. You don't need height as a centre-back. Dalot stepped up. Wan-Bissaka stepped up. Varane has stepped up. We know what Varane's a good centre-back, but last season was a calamity for Man United in general. Garnacho's a breakthrough prospect, good off the bench, but can he do it when starting a game? He's still young. We will see. Malacia back up to Shaw. I don't rate Luke Shaw either that much. because he goes up and down and he's too lazy to actually carry that on throughout a game. He actually done really well at centre back. I think players like McTominay, players like Maguire will probably leave, and they'd have to leave. And please do not come to West Ham. And do not you're not welcome here for me. From me, you're not welcome. Because I've seen us linked. Please do not come to West Ham. Please go to the Aston Villas of this world. Even if they do well, I do not care. I do not want these players at West Ham because we are not a team that gets the best out of players and improves players to a higher level. We will not do that with Maguire. We will not do that with McTominay. Please leave this club. Please leave. Please just stay away from West Ham. I don't want to see those links. And the people that think they will do well for West Ham, please just watch Maguire and McTominay and tell me they will actually do well for West Ham. But yeah, back onto Man United, like, you made a few good signings, a few expensive signings, but ultimately, get a striker, goalkeeper, midfield, another centre-back that can compete with Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Lindelof can stay probably for another year. You need one centre-back. Just get Maguire off and get another centre-back in. It's not that hard. Be more ambitious, because you're Man United. Fourth is another bad prediction. By the way, the next three predictions are awful. Chelsea. Fucking hell. I predicted Chelsea fourth. I should have seen this coming. I should have predicted them at least Europa League. They finished 12th. Chelsea finished 12th. I've not seen that ever. I've not seen as bad of a season from a big side ever. Because Chelsea finished 10th in 15-16, and even that, the 15-16 team would batter this team because they had Hazard and Diego Costa alone. They had Fabregas, they had Matic. They still had John Obi Mikel, I'm pretty sure. They had a washed-up Ivanovic. A washed-up Ivanovic would do well. I would rather a washed-up Ivanovic than a washed-up Azpilicueta. That might differ opinion. But Chelsea this season, fucking hell, man. This Todd Bowley guy, he's not part of the transfers anymore, so he's leaving it to football people. They've got a lot of players, a lot of signings, a lot of money, a lot of young players, which is kind of shit, because Chelsea are another one of the big clubs that needs to be up there, and they're not up there right now. And they've got Pochettino now, but Graham Potter was, you kind of fucked him up on your own a bit by just signing all these players, and then there's no time for cohesion and long-term project and all that shit. But Potter kind of fucked himself with the games against Tottenham and Fulham and other games. The Southampton game, when they lost 1-0, you lost to Southampton. Who loses to Southampton? Twice. Under two different managers. You lost to Southampton. The Chelsea West Ham games I'm not even going to discuss. Two controversial games. But I just don't understand, like, how you finished 12th. Like, you should have got a lot of the deadwood out. Mason Mount's leaving. Fair enough. I don't rate Mason Mount. Hakim Ziyech is leaving, probably. Pulisic is leaving. Loftus-Cheek is leaving. Kovacic is leaving. Jorginho left. Lukaku, fuck knows what's going on with him. Well, we know what's going on off the pitch, which is not on the pitch. Yeah, Chelsea confused me. Chelsea could really, really confuse me, because you sacked Tuchel. I was very shocked. I was very shocked at the Tuchel sacking, but I'm glad he's failing. Well, I guess he won the league with Bayern Munich, but who doesn't? You then get Potter. You then get Lampard, who won one game, and that was against Bournemouth, who were already safe. So what was the point? Players like Mudryk, players like Madueke, players like Enzo Fernandez, players like Badiashile, players like Fofana, they have bright futures, probably at Chelsea, and they were improved under Pochettino's management. But you're going off a young project like other teams, and it's going to take a lot of time. You've put yourself there by design, so you're going to actually have to give yourself a lot of patience, and give this team a lot of patience then, if this is what you're going to go by. And selling more players, it might take longer than people think for this team to actually have any sort of cohesion, but maybe Pochettino could get the best out of some of these players. and some of these players that were already there. And it's genuinely a disgrace that Chelsea finished below Crystal Palace, Fulham, and Brentford. You was the worst West London team in the Premier League. When is the last time that has happened? Probably never. They also finished below the team that I predicted to finish in third, which was Tottenham Hotspur. I was talking Tottenham Hotspur a lot. I was talking them up a lot in a predictions video because it was under Conte and it was. But after they signed Jed Spence, they didn't sign anyone else. But now looking back, I don't know why I rated that window. Because Richarlison, I'm not particularly fond of, but as a Conte player, I saw the vision. Dan Juma was a pointless signing. Didn't use him. Pedro Porro is a wing back, so you signed him under Conte style, and Conte's gone. You signed Bissouma, been injured. I'm not going to talk much about Bissouma. Signed Perisic. I thought that was a good signing for a year, but in the Premier League, playing wing back, probably not for him. He wants to leave already. Signed Fraser Forster. He's a backup goalie. Got too much hate for no reason. Longley was a loan signing, a shit centre back. But if you want to make it permanent, maybe you'll do better next year. Tottenham sacked their manager, and then they sacked their assistant manager after he took over as the manager. You're the only team to do that, I'm pretty sure. But like Chelsea, like Leeds, 3 managers in one season. Because the leading counts apparently. And then they gave it to Ryan Mason, who seems to have the dressing room, and will always have the dressing room because of the respect he has by the players that had played with him and that was already there at Tottenham. But yeah, I like a lot of managers have either rejected Tottenham or Tottenham have rejected them, and I don't know what's gone wrong. I think it's just lack of intelligence upstairs and not enough good defenders like Romero, Sanchez, Longley, Davies, Tanganga, Dyer. Is that it as your centre back options? It's not inspiring, is it? Because even Romero, he has something in him, but even he makes a lot of mistakes, and I don't think that's just with the players he plays with. I think he's overrated, but there have been times where he's had to cover for Eric Dyer, and he's also made a mistake, but that's also because of how bad Eric Dyer is. Eric Dyer is probably one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. He's good on the ball because he used to be a midfielder. But I don't understand. Why do people rate Eric Dyer? Why does Gareth Southgate rate Eric Dyer? He's shite. So is Davinson Sanchez. These should be the first names you should get out of your club. If I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be furious. I'd be screaming. I'd be protesting. And you should be protesting your owners, even if you get a new manager. Just make sure the manager goes. It looks like it's going to be Ange Postecoglou because he's first in line. He's in pole position. Celtic, I think Celtic are playing now, actually. I could be wrong. Celtic might be playing now. Well, I can't find it, but I think Celtic were meant to be playing today. Or maybe it's tomorrow. But that might be his last game, Scottish Cup final, all of that. You might join your club, whatever. If he does well, then it's probably because the owner backed him, but your owner wants to do the Brentford model or the Brighton model. Does that make sense with signing Ange Postecoglou as your manager? Does that also make sense without a director of football? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on at Tottenham. Players like Son didn't step up. Players like Kulusevski was bad after his injury. Players like Højbjerg had an awful season. Kane and Bentancur stepped up. Davies shouldn't be starting week in, week out. He's a squad player. And I know he's not a great player in general, but I generally think if he just comes in for one game, then he has to fuck off on the bench again. He'll be fine. But if he plays week in, week out, he gets exposed. All you need to do is run it behind. That's it. That's all you need to do against him. You got players that can't defend, players that can't attack, and there's no direction at Tottenham right now. But you never know what happens with Tottenham because they could just come back and they have no European football. So them and Chelsea have got one game a week next season. So top 6 has to, like, if you don't get top 6, like, let alone top 5 in Champions League places, what the fuck? You got one game a week. There's no excuses next season, but I had a lot of hype for Tottenham because of Antonio Conte, and I was very scared. And that's probably me being a West Ham fan, being scared of Tottenham might do something. But I said that under Mourinho as well, and he didn't get backed. So maybe I should just expect them to do shit under Daniel Levy. But yeah, that was my bad. Again, another shit prediction. Second, I said Liverpool. I remember Jay said Liverpool finishing first. I remember that, Jay, if you're watching. But yeah, Liverpool, awful season for Liverpool. They finished fifth in the end. Europa League. They haven't finished in the Europa League for ages, since Klopp's first season. I think Klopp had them in the Champions League every other season, and they should be back next year. You should be going for the title again next year. You need a rebuild, a new defender, some new midfielders, a cover at right back, because this who did they sign? It was Calvin Ramsey. He was meant to be the backup, and he got injured. Unlucky guy. It'll be interesting to see if they stick with the system of moving Trent inverted and all that shit. But fuck knows what's going on in Liverpool. I just think they've been exposed. I think their midfielder's gone stale. The only midfielders that can stay are Henderson and Thiago, I guess. Fabinho's fallen off a cliff. Salah's performances haven't been that good, but he's still scoring goals because he's that clinical. He's that good. Even in a shit Liverpool team, he's that good. Luis Diaz was injured for a long time. So was Diego Jota. They struggled with attackers. Darwin Núñez is settling in. Cody Gakpo playing down the middle is better than him playing on the wing because he's not explosive. He's not pacey. So yeah. Roberto Firmino's going. A great Premier League player to watch. Was key in that Mane Salah side when they won the league and came second and won the Champions League. But he was very key in all of that. So good luck to Firmino on the rest of his career. Players like Robertson needed to have stepped up. Players like Fabinho fallen off a cliff, as I said. Van Dijk wasn't great up until the end of the season. He just played when he felt like it. Canate sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, and that's just this season. But he is a good defender overall. Matip has fallen off a cliff. Gomez should be sold. Joe Gomez should be one of the players that should get sold by Liverpool. He's had enough chances. Too injury prone. I don't see the point of him staying. And he should probably leave. Trent can't defend but can attack. There was a period of time where we came back from the World Cup. Like, every team came back from the World Cup. And Liverpool, Trent was doing well defensively up until that Brentford game. Or maybe it was just after the Brentford game. And then he just stopped. It's just played like shit defensively again. They've had a lot of bad moments, Liverpool. The Bournemouth away, Forest away, Leeds at home, Napoli away. Jesus Christ, Napoli away. They did have a good time against Real Madrid at home. You'd expect them to compete more against Real Madrid, but they didn't. And yeah, Alisson though, he's been a man that's even in the shit Liverpool side, been a fantastic keeper this season, and fair play to him. He's still not falling off a cliff, still keeping the standards high in goal. It's just a shame that other players at Liverpool could not also fulfil that. But I think you'll see a better Liverpool side next year. I think you'll see, if they get a few midfielders, defender, and maybe some cover. I think Simic has to go, so maybe they won't cover in both fullback positions. And yeah, you'll see a better Liverpool side. Depends on what system Klopp goes with as well. I legit just think Trent should just play midfield. But that's a conversation for another day. Lastly, the champions, Manchester City. Finally, a prediction I got right. I will never doubt Man City again, because there was a time I panicked and I thought Arsenal were actually going to win the league, and I'm glad they didn't. City could win the treble. They could have an amazing season. They just beat Man United. Their rivals, and they... What else can I say about Man City, man? Rodri, the only bad performance he had was Tottenham away. I remember watching that game, him just giving the ball away left, right, and centre. Had a shocking game. Every other game he was really good. From what I remember anyway. There was probably other games that he was mediocre in, but I don't remember. There was a time where they couldn't get the best out of Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland would carry on running in behind, but they weren't giving the ball to him. And that game sticks out. Manchester United away, they were analysing it on the BBC in the lead up towards today's game. And I remember watching that game on BT, the early game kickoff, where Erling Haaland should have had the ball like 5 times. Like, you don't know how to mark Erling Haaland as well. Like, you don't know how to mark him. Like, you just get like, even if you play like 3 in the back, it just gives people problems. Only Brentford have beaten them like twice this season. I don't know how they do that, whether it's first team or second team. So fair play to Brentford for beating Man City. Fucking hell. But yeah, man, if they go for the treble, this will be one of the best City, or this will be the best City side. And at the start of the season, it was not looking like that. It was like, hold on, what the fuck are you lot doing? Arsenal are top of the league. Can you not go back to being City, please? And they went back to being City. It was ever since they got the Chargers thing and that Tottenham game. After that, they were just on a roll. They didn't lose a game up until the Brentford game. And they made Arsenal the biggest bottle jobs in Premier League history. And well done to Manchester City. Ruben Diaz, the organiser at the back. I have a lot of praise for Ruben Diaz. This guy is an amazing defender. John Stones, from defender to midfield. That new role. I don't know what Pep just like, yeah, I'll do this. It's a new idea. I'm going to fuck up the league again by being absolutely class. By just doing a new tactic. That's what he does. That's what Pep does. That's why he's the best. The best that I've seen. I know Alex Ferguson, but Pep is the best that I've seen. Even Foden, somebody who has not played much of a role, but Grealish has played such a massive role. Bernardo Silva has been amazing in different positions. Kevin De Bruyne, probably not his best season in terms of performances. He's putting the goals and assists on. That's what De Bruyne does. But even today, he wasn't that good today. But then, second goal, pings it, final ball, Gundogan, another player. Ridiculous player. Ake, probably the best left back all season. Sometimes it was a 3 in the back at centre back. Sometimes it was just left back. One of the best players this season in the Premier League. Ake. If it wasn't Haaland, I would give it to him or Stones in best Premier League player of the season. Genuinely. It's actually weird because I don't even think De Bruyne has been like top 5 City players this season. I generally think there's been other players that have played better, that have contributed more. But De Bruyne is De Bruyne. It'll be interesting to see what City do in a transfer window because they don't really spend as much as people think in terms of every season. Whether they do it in midfield or in attack. So that will be the end of the video. This video is an hour long. Fucking hell. Anyway, if you guys did manage to make it to the end of the video, well done to you. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. Social media in the description if you want to follow me, and an email for the inquiries. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.